Controlled Chaos here. I want to talk to you guys about a different game here, a new game that I'm looking at adding to the channel, and I'm going to talk about the gameplay of this, why I'm excited, and why I'm willing to sort of put this on the channel before it's even fully come out. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is Dune Awakening. It's a very cool concept of a game from a very good game development company, Funcom. Dune Awakening is set in the Dune universe from the novels and the movies that we've all seen, but I'm hoping predominantly from the novels because the novels have so much more detail in them in description than the movies do of the way the world works. And what's really nice about this isn't your usual survival game. This is an open world survival MMO. And this is really cool because there are a lot of survival games out there that have online aspects. We have No Man's Sky, which this channel covers. We have Ark Evolve, we have Conan Exiles, and things like that, where they have an online aspect and you can play with hundreds of players, but MMOs isn't hundreds of players, it's thousands of players, and that's really cool. And with this survival aspect that they have, the way they're doing it is really nice. They're taking the aspect of the environment you're on Arrakis, a desert planet where you need to keep yourself hydrated, so you have what's considered a water suit on, so you're gonna need to collect water, and they say that you can steal it from NPCs and stuff like that, and that's gonna be really cool. You'll be able to harvest it and all that kind of stuff, and that's nice. That's part of the survival thing, along with they're gonna have sandstorms, and that's another part that's going to affect the survival, so you're gonna need to build bases, and I love building bases. I can't wait to see what they do with base building, because in Conan Exiles, one of their other games, it has base building in it, and they've done it really good. You literally put down floor pieces, wall pieces, ceiling pieces, and things like that to add onto it, and you can make some really cool, amazing structures in there. So the survival aspect really has me intrigued. I really like that aspect of it. They're taking it a step forward and intriguing me more. And they're making this an MMO where you have thousands of players that you can interact with. And I've been waiting for a survival MMO. I just thought that would be two genres really greatly mixed together and would be really interesting. And Funcom's the first to do it with Dune Awakening, and this is going to be really cool. This is going to be really great, and I can see this taking off and doing well for two reasons. One, it's a Dune video game. It has a well-known franchise and fan base behind it. Two, it's done by Funcom. They're well-known and respected for making games. So those two combined, you'll see a good, healthy player base. And that's going to be nice. But there's more to it than just the MMO aspect. With that, they're also doing combined arms. And if you don't know what combined arms is, imagine being able to either use a ranged weapon like a blaster rifle, or melee weapons like knives and swords and stuff like that, or jumping in a vehicle, a ground vehicle, and using a ground vehicle like a tank or a buggy, or air vehicles where you're flying around and shooting people down the ground, and all those intermingling into a battle. And the reason this excites me is one of the games that I love playing that you guys don't see any of is PlanetSide 2. I love PlanetSide 2. Think of Battlefield, but instead of hundreds of players fighting one another, or 64 versus 64 fighting one another, you have 3 different factions fighting over areas, and these areas are huge. The base maps themselves are just the size of the latest Battlefield maps. Those bases are then put on worlds, and you can travel the entire world. That's amazing. That's cool. It's got the combined arms fighting in it. So you have melee, you have range, you have vehicles from ground, air, and sea that are just amazing. And it wasn't too long ago that they added in sea vehicles. It's just an awesome way to play. And I love playing PlanetSide 2 for those big, massive player versus player battles. So that's another chunk in there. You take those 3 chunks, and it's a dream game of mine. It's really cool. Plus, I'm also a Dune fan. I'm not fanatic about it. I'm not all absorbed and don't know everything about it. I'm going to learn more, I'll tell you that, because of this game. But I do like the Dune universe. I like the sci-fi universe and the information about the spices and the factions. I liked the original 4TV movie that was done which had Patrick Stewart in it. Really good movie. I've yet to see the new one. I have it on my list. I'm gonna be watching it soon. Probably after I'm done recording this, I'll go and watch it because I got Dune on my mind. But hey, anyways, with that being said, those are all the reasons why I want to play. Now, I want to go into why I trust this company and why I'm looking on adding it to the channel. And that is because of the company behind this, Funcom. Funcom has a big history with MMOs and a little bit smaller history with survival games. Back in 2001, they created Anarchy Online. It was the first sci-fi 3D MMO, and it was done amazingly well. And I played it for years. I played an engineer, which gave you this automaton as a pet. It was a pet class. It was really fun. You could choose whatever weapons you wanted. You could enhance whatever skills you wanted. Your abilities were determined by your class. Randomly generated maps for missions when you went indoors. If it was above ground, you had this big above ground world. Just extreme fun. And when they made this, they also added in so you could sit, you had different emotes so you could role play and stuff like that. So it really added in that role play aspect, which I do on occasion. And then not only did they do that MMO, they also did the Age of Conan MMO. And the Age of Conan MMO is based off of the Conan the Barbarian comic books. And they did a really good job with that. And I loved playing that game. Age of Conan is fun. It is immense. There's new ways of playing the game that they did different than others. They were the first to have the whole entire sneak system that wasn't just, oh, you're sneaking. No, this you actually had to watch the angle you were coming in on the enemy. You had to be out of their sight. You did better if you were in darker areas, you were harder to spot. Things like that they just added on and made it very fun, very interesting. They also did the Secret World MMO, which is a modern day secret society MMO where you're hunting out horrors and monsters and stuff like that of things like vampires and ghosts and demons and all this other kind of stuff. And that's interesting. And the premise around this is finding clues and puzzle solving and using your brain to figure things out. And that's really, really interesting. I played it when the game first came out, and those puzzles were really hard to figure out because you had to research things. They had an in-game browser where you had to research things and pull up Google and look up different artists like Mozart or different novelists and stuff like that to figure out riddles. You had to read certain things about them to get certain codes, and it just worked the brain. It was really, really cool. So they know how to do MMOs. Did they launch solidly? No. Do they run perfectly great nowadays? No. No game ever does. No game ever will. If you ever find a game and you say, oh, it's bug free, it doesn't have a single bug in it, I'm going to say, liar! Liar! There never will be a program that is completely bug free. It's just not going to happen. But they continue working on the games. They continue patching them. They put out expansions. All the MMOs are currently in maintenance mode, where all they're doing is patching and keeping the servers up, but they're still all up and running to this day. We're talking even Anarchy Online, the one that they released in 2001, is still up and running. You can play on their live servers, and that is great. That's one reason why I'm going to get this game, is it's an MMO and they don't just drop their MMOs. As long as it's not costing them swaths of money to run, they will keep the MMO up and going. And nowadays, it's not that expensive to run an MMO. And considering that these MMOs have already paid off for the servers they're running on, all that they're having to pay for is the expense of the electricity and the bandwidth and stuff like that to run these MMOs. They're probably still running a profit off of them. And this game, Dune Awakening, is going to be the same way. With that being said, the other reason I'm really interested in this game is Funcom also did a survival game called Conan Exiles, and Conan Exiles is extremely fun. It's great to play. You have a thirst meter, a hunger meter, you have health, you have to build buildings to survive storms and things like that. You have to survive the wildlife and different factions coming after you and fighting you that you run across and things like that. There's a whole entire build system where you can build bases. There's a whole entire crafting system. There's a lot to this game that's fun. And just recently, not too long ago, we're talking within weeks, they released the Age of War expansion, which enhances combat. It adds in things for clans to do. You can now have clan banners and stuff like that. And the great thing that I like about how they do their expansions is they do them like No Man's Sky does. They put them in there. There's no extra cost for the expansion and the new gameplay mechanics. Excellent. They've done this with their Age of Sorcery one too. I bought the original Conan's Exiles. I haven't bought anything else for it, but I'm able to do things in the Age of Sorcery. I have all that stuff and able to do that. I logged on to get video to do and talk about Age of Conan in this to give examples, and I have Age of War stuff in there and the quest to get that stuff going, and it cost me nothing. I think what Funcom did there and the direction they're going with it and stuff like that, I think was great. I think they saw what Hello Games is doing with No Man's Sky and went, they're able to make a profit off of this and not charge people for the new content. Can we pull this off? Is this possible? And I think they probably even talked to Sean Murray about this, because guess what? They're both European companies. They're both in Europe. They probably know each other. They probably talk all the time, especially with being in these conventions and stuff like that. You know they're going to meet them. I've talked to the developers at Funcom during the Age of Conan stuff, during the release of the Secret World and things like that. I've met them at conventions, gone to special events with them, and talked to them about their games. They are friendly developers. They are all about their players, which is why they keep servers up. With them doing a survival game, with them doing an MMO, with them doing a good job with both, I think this is the company that can definitely handle doing a survival MMO. The one question I have though about this whole entire thing is the combined arms. This is their first time doing combined arms. So I'm a bit up in the air about that, but they were the first to do a sci-fi MMO. And it was their first ever doing an MMO. They'd never done an MMO. It was the first game that they released. They were able to do it. This gives me more trust in their capabilities. They will work their way through it and figure it out. This game is currently in alpha. There's beta signups on the website right now, so you can sign up for the beta. You can wishlist it on Steam. Are you interested in playing this game? Do you want to play this game? Does the Dune universe interest you? Does a survival MMO interest you? Does combined combat interest you? Comment down below, let me know. Also, would you like me to cover more about Dune Awakening as more information is released and add this game to the games I have? So I'm not just doing No Man's Sky, I'm not just doing City Heroes, but I'm also doing Dune Awakening. I'm willing to do that for you guys. I have high interest in this game. Let me know. Have a great day.